The Gracie family is very unique. They're very amazing. It starts with Hélio Gracie, of course, being a genius. He just took these techniques that he was learning from Japanese Jiu-Jitsu and developed into something that was way more effective than anything was known to man. And he feverishly kept developing these techniques and making them better. He was obsessed with the whole idea of making a system that was practical. So, and he passed that passion on to his sons, and his sons are so passionate in Jiu-Jitsu. And it's remarkable on how much they want to share their knowledge of Jiu-Jitsu as well as still practice and keep maintaining their abilities to this day. And it's been going on for decades now. So the Gracie family as a family, I believe, is meant to be here in order to teach Jiu-Jitsu without a doubt. And I think that's the whole purpose of being on the planet. And they teach a system that's unlike anything else out there, and they also have a way of teaching that's unlike anybody else out there. They're amazing instructors and they're amazing practitioners.
Well, my name is Royler Gracie from the Gracie family. I train Jiu-Jitsu since I'm 3 years old. I beat 4 times world champion. I beat 3 times Abu Dhabi champion. I beat many times Pan American, national, and a regional champion. I just actually tried to follow what the Grandmaster Hélio Gracie told us, you know, show us the technique and the environment, you know. I'm so glad to born in the family I born, you know, and have the access to the technique I have. Well, grow up like to be a Gracie, it's kind of, I don't have no pressure. That's one thing is good, you know, because my whole family always involved, my whole family support, and that's one of the best things, you know. Is for you guys to have an idea, is the first time I compete, my father coming to me and say, hey, if you win, I give you $10. If you lost, I give you $20. And the first month, I know I don't understand. You know, I say, we're gonna give me more money if I lose. And later, I start to understand. You know, it's making me feel more comfortable. You know, if I lose, and then nobody likes to lose. And by the way, this time I lose, but I got more money. You know, that's my first tournament. Can you imagine? You know, if I'm in the first tournament, you lose, and then he's tried to squeeze me and tell me, say, hey, you can't do it. You know, I never come back. And then no matter what, you know, I just come back, and then I have my whole family support. That's good. Well, the Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is the Jiu-Jitsu my father, Hélio Gracie, create. He's adjust, he fit for his kind of body. Like you say, my father is a very small guy, very light guy, and then he need to have the detail, the knowledge to make the technique work. And that's he do. You know, all his life he tried to adjust and modify the Jiu-Jitsu. If you guys don't know, Jiu-Jitsu start in India and go to China, and China go to Japan, and Japan go to Brazil, and Brazil is split all over the world. You know, and it looks like he go back again. And actually, that's my father. He's doing. You know, he's tried to prove Jiu-Jitsu not only is a good martial art, but it's a lifestyle.
The difference between Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is the whole idea behind Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is based on the self-defense aspect. It's all about being able to defend yourself against somebody who's a lot larger and stronger than you. Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu basically is designed around the sport aspect of Jiu-Jitsu. It's more competitive based, more tournament based, whereas Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is dealing more with street aspect, more with self-defense on the street and being able to defend yourself. That's the biggest difference between the two. A good way to look at it is Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, but Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu isn't necessarily Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, just for that reason. Gracie Jiu-Jitsu doesn't deal with time limits, doesn't deal with weight classes. It just totally deals with there's no rules. It can be anything that could happen. Where Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu based on you're in a ring and it's a sport aspect, you have a time limit, there's certain rules and weight classes and such, and it's a good way to train. It's just that I'm not saying one is better than the other as much as they're just different. It depends on why you want to train. Is it the sport aspect you want to train? Are you training for a medal? Or are you trying to learn how to protect yourself and protect your family? If that's what you're learning how to do, then Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is for you for sure. Pedro Sauer, the only way, if I were to describe him in one word, it'd be incredible. And that means not only as a Jiu-Jitsu practitioner, but as a person, as a human being. When I first met him, I knew right away he was different, and he's an incredible instructor as far as he's so willing to show his knowledge. He has so much experience growing up with the Gracie brothers and training under Hélio Gracie in Brazil since the age of 15. And he has so much experience to go with that, and he's so willing to share it with you, and he's so eager to share his knowledge and see everybody get better in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. He doesn't hold back, he's very friendly and very approachable, and he makes Jiu-Jitsu so fun. He makes learning Jiu-Jitsu so fun that whenever you're training with him, it's hard to imagine not wanting to even do this. So he's somebody that I really look up to. He's helped me a lot, not only on the mats, but in life. He's a very knowledgeable, a very wise man, to where he has a lot of good insight on life in general. He talks about how the lessons he's learned through Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and how he's applied it to his life. And in turn, he can teach me how I can apply those same things to my life. And it's helped me a lot over the years. He's always been a very, very good friend of mine, a mentor of mine, an idol of mine. I always look up to him. And the thing that I think I like about him the best, besides the fact that he's the most technical Jiu-Jitsu practitioner out there under the Gracies, is that the fact that he's just so humble. You know, he doesn't want to take credit. I've even seen him and Rickson train together. I've seen Rickson teach him, and he takes criticism with a smile, and he'll go back there and work on things just as hard as we do when we're getting corrected on something. And that's something I've always admired. Is you know, his talent speaks for itself. And his personality is something that you have to just know him personally to really appreciate. And he's personable to everybody, and I think he's an amazing man.
Well, Pedro Sauer, it's we met him a long time ago. You know, his first time he's been in the academy. You know, he's actually got a couple of histories about. You know, but one is a funny thing is the first time he's been there. You know, he's a friend with Rickson and Relson, my old brothers. And he's coming to see how Jiu-Jitsu is. And at the time, he's a really good boxer. You know, he's a very athlete. You know, he's like to train. He's a young boy, like 15 years old. You know, 16 years old, I think, at the time he started. And my brother, first time, my brother used to do this. You know, all my brothers. You know, someone coming to see the first time, they put the guy lay down and tell me, I'm a young, you know, at the time I'm 9, 10 years old, and put me in the mount and the guy. And that's not going to be different with Pedro, you know, with Pedro come and then say, hey Pedro, you lay down, and then I mounted him and say, okay, try to escape the little boy, you know, take the little boy out from you. And then he try hard and then he can, you know, and say, oh my God, and then we catch him. Just make you see, you know, and then that's how we start. And then after that, he started to learn and give a hard time to everybody. He's a really good teacher, you know. Pedro actually have a big association in America today. It's not only in America, in the whole world. And he's a really good teacher. He's very focused. He can pass to not only to the student, but he can pass to everyone. He's comfortable, you know, and that's the one thing is I like, you know, see a teacher. He always dressed good, you know, it's clean hair, you know, the clean gi, and this is very, I don't know how to say, but as a presentable, you know, every time he presents himself, he looking good, you know, and how he talk, how he explain position, you know, his friendship, everything, he's amazing. I train with the gi, and then I train without gi, because today we have a lot of competitions, you know, without the gi, like submission wrestling, you know, submission. We have MMA, people fight MMA, most of the time without the gi. And we have a Jiu-Jitsu sport, like a competition sport, you know, and that's a kind of 3 different things. I prefer with gi, because in my opinion, that's actually I try to follow what my father say all the time, you know, is the gi, it's make you more technical and make you see the detail and the analogy. It's more clear. Without the gi, you know, you miss a lot. you know. And some people say, hey, but the time you fight, you're not gonna have a gi. I know, but for you to train, for you to develop the movement, it's much clean, much easier.
I train both gi and no gi. However, I primarily train with a gi. 90% of the time I train with a gi. Something that Rickson taught me was that anybody who trains with a gi can take their gi off and still do jiu-jitsu no problem. But the people that train primarily with no gi have a very difficult time putting their gi on and feeling comfortable. It's always like a noose around your neck with the gi and the lapel. So people don't understand how to work with the grips and having to protect your neck and not being as slippery. So you have to learn how to be able to get out of situations and do techniques based on the technique itself, and not because you're stronger or slippery or sweatier than the other person. You have to rely purely on technique, and wearing the gi will make you be able to do that. Anytime you want to compete or be able to train no gi, taking the gi off is no problem. I competed in the 2007 Naga Championships, and I fought no gi, and I didn't even train really no gi except for 1 day a week. Getting ready for this tournament. The rest of the time was with a gi. And when it came time to go compete no gi, I took my gi off, taking the kimono off is no big deal at all. I went in there and I actually wound up winning first place, and all by submission, as a matter of fact, too. It wasn't even by points. So it was something that it's a very easy transition for me, and it's something I highly believe in. It's based on what the Gracies have taught me from the beginning.
Well, everyone like to be involved in martial art. First of all, he need to find a place, you know. And then for sure he need to test himself in a couple different academies and see how it's easy for him, how fitting his kind of personality, you know. But one thing is for sure is the teacher is the one is gonna hold you, and then they're gonna show you, they're gonna be a contact with you. If you not feel comfortable with the teacher, you know, I used to say, you know, to be my student, first of all, you need to be my friend. And that's make everything easy. You know, if you're not a friend, it's gonna be a little hard. And that's, I think, is the best way someone like to see the academy, see like a family place, you know, enjoy having a good time, people relax. It's not a place you're gonna come and then thinking about, okay, I be a fighter. You know, to be a fighter, you don't need to have a bad attitude. You need to actually say completely different, you know, you need to have a good attitude. You need to respect more.
The way I compete, the way I prepare myself for competition is I'll spend a lot of time doing cardio because when you compete, you have two opponents versus if you're on the street, you only have one opponent generally, you and the bad guy. When you compete in the tournament scene or in the sport aspect, you always have two opponents. You have the person that's on the mat with you that you're competing against. You also have the clock. So sometimes the clock can work against you. If you're not in very good shape, okay, 5 minutes or 10 minutes, depending on what the time frame is in your rank, that could be a very long time. And then if you have a lot of people in your division, you may have several matches, and you may have a total of 20 minutes of grappling in that day, or even more, 30 to 40 minutes of grappling. So if the cardio aspect isn't down, that alone can beat you. So the biggest thing I try to do is make sure that I'm not going to beat myself by becoming too tired and gassing out, as we call it, to where I can't finish my match because I got too tired. That's unacceptable to me. The last thing I want to do is not be able to move on because I'm too tired. So I always push myself in the cardio aspect. I'll do different things like swimming and running just to kind of change it up a little bit. But I spend a lot of my time doing a lot of the jiu-jitsu warm-ups, a lot of the things that we do in the beginning of class to warm up. I'll actually use those same exact techniques to work out with. I'll put a lot more reps and put a lot more intensity and get myself in a position in movements to where I'll really work my cardiovascular threshold and build it up. Then I'll spend a lot of time working positions, a lot of positions to where I'm working just the mount, or I'm working just the guard or cross side or back, both offense and defense. I spend a lot of time doing that. And then I'll spend some time at the end rolling with several people, one after another, maybe 5-minute rounds. I'll line people up and, you know, go through 10 or 15 people, trying to just build up my cardio that way and get my timing right and just get everything sharp for the competition. The way Rickson taught me, he said you should spend about 80% of your time going through technique with no resistance. Then you should spend about 15% of your time going through position drills, working the mount, the guard, the back. And then you should spend 5% of your time doing some free training, doing some free rolling. So I've always tried to keep my training along that method. Now, when I'm training for competition, I'll bump up the free rolling a little bit. I'll bump up the position training just to kind of get myself in the tournament mindset and get my body ready to be able to train that way. At the same time, I don't want to train too hard and risk injury. Okay, so that's the best way I do that.
Yeah, I'm not competing anymore. No, I'm stopped to compete, you know. But I used to train hard, you know. And then the time you train hard, you know how much I train, and then I know how much time I'd spend in training, and that's not make me feel bad, you know. If it, win and lose is a consequence, you know. Of course, more you train, more tough you're gonna be, more strong you're gonna be mentally and tough in training. But you know, it's lose is a part in the game. You need to be prepared, you know, and then you come back again and be more strong. But one thing for sure, the time you train hard, you don't need to worry about that because you know you do your homework.
Yes, children do wonderfully in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and it's something that I feel is very important for children to learn. Starting at the earlier age, the better. We do a lot of games with the kids to where they don't even realize they're learning a martial arts system or a self-defense system. It's just a game to them. But the games that they're learning are things that are going to teach them muscle memory to where the techniques they do later on down the road are actual parts of these games that they've learned as a child. And the kids aren't competitive with each other. In other words, if somebody gets a good position on them or somebody catches them in an arm lock or a choke or some type of submission, they don't get upset. They laugh, they get up, they giggle, and they want to do it again. It's a game they want to play. So it's all about playing jiu-jitsu. So then as they become older, it's no big deal when they go to learn a technique. It's something they've learned from the beginning. So it's something that can really help the kids. They learn how to interact with other children, learn how to be polite, have good manners, good social skills for the kids, so they learn how to interact with people as they get older. And it just really helps them as they become an adult to be good citizens out in the world. Yes, I've learned a lot about Gracie Jiu-Jitsu and about life through Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. For instance, I'm a police officer, so the first thing people ask me a lot of times is, you know, do you ever have to use your jiu-jitsu on the street? And my answer to them is I use it every day. And they're like, oh, what do you mean by that? And they have the image in their head that I'm throwing chokes or arm locks or takedowns on people every single day. And actually that rarely happens, because what you learn in Gracie Jiu-Jitsu is how to have a really good patience, have a good outlook on life, learn how to read people. And I know how to talk to people. I talk to them with respect. I talk to them with manners. I talk to them in a way that they appreciate. So therefore, I think it makes me a better person with Gracie Jiu-Jitsu than without it. And therefore, I learn how to be able to deal with people on a regular basis, and I can read how the person is acting and how they're behaving ahead of time. So if I feel that somebody's becoming aggressive or a fight is starting to brew, I can see that ahead of time, and I can already prepare myself and either try to talk the person down to where they're not going to want to fight in the first place, or at least get myself ready physically in a position or at a distance or something that I've learned through the techniques of Gracie Jiu-Jitsu. So the things that it's taught me, I can go on and on and on. There's so many things about Jiu-Jitsu that have just improved my life. It helps you understand your body physically. It helps you understand your strengths and weaknesses. It helps you deal with people on a daily basis, problematic people as well as friendliness. And it helps you learn how to deal with both of these extremes. It makes me very honored to be able to come to Iceland and be able to see Jiu-Jitsu growing so rapidly here. Okay, and I've seen different academies around, and there's Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and there's Gracie Jiu-Jitsu, and I think that's just wonderful. I'm very honored to be able to bring Gracie Jiu-Jitsu to Gracie Jiu-Jitsu of Iceland and be able to bring the teachings of Hélio Gracie as well as the Gracie brothers firsthand to the school, so you're learning as close to the source as you can really get. Also, Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Iceland has brought in a couple of the Gracie brothers already. They brought in Royce Gracie as well as Royler Gracie, and that's something that a lot of schools can't say they've done. So it's something that it's a very, very good school to go to, and if you're looking for true self-defense, if you're looking for something that's going to improve your lifestyle as a whole, okay, then Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Iceland is the one to go to for sure.